Good evening, and once again, welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. I'm joined by three illustrious guests here in the Cheese Room tonight, and we're going to unpick everything from the debacle at the weekend to looking ahead with what's to come. And I think we're even going to touch on Spurs women as well. So a very interesting show tonight. Firstly, introductions, however. Joining me all the way from Vienna, he's the second most famous Spurs-associated Austrian, the first being Kevin Wimmer, obviously, is HG.
Do many people really remember Kevin Wimmer anymore? Surely I'm number one now.
I remember Kevin Wimmer.
Hopefully. I saw Kevin Wimmer play a few weeks ago. He plays in Vienna now. But sadly his career nosedived after Spurs, which is what we want to see. We want to see players leave Spurs and win nothing, because Wimmer is leading the way. But
Peaked at Spurs.
He did, didn't he? I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on again.
And also, good evening, Shan. You must be sick of talking about the Spurs game, having done the watch along. And I know you're on the podcast. You're everywhere. You are literally Cheese Room royalty. So, thanks for joining us firstly this evening. I'm very honoured. And welcome. You okay?
Yeah, I'm slumming it today from my office come storage room. Hopefully 2 weeks, and I'll be in the Shan cave I keep banging on about. But yeah, no, I'm good. Just looking forward to better things. Shall we put it that way?
I can't wait to see the Shan cave. That's going to be legendary stages.
Do you know what? It's got pink floral wallpaper in it as well, so it's just going to have a bit of everything. It's a bit wacky, isn't it? It's just going to be things.
They sell a good range of Tottenham Hotspur wallpaper at the stadium.
I'm not putting Tottenham Hotspur wallpaper in my office.
No commitment.
Get some cocks on your wall. Get some cocks on your wall. Come on now.
I may get some cocks on my wall. We'll see.
There we go.
And also joining us again, Michael. Welcome back once more. You'll be relieved to know there's no multiple choice quiz tonight. So thanks for coming back and bearing with us after that escapade. How are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, it's good to be back. Shame it under better circumstances, but I'm sure we're going to get into it. Let's get going. Let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. And if you are watching on catch up, please do hit that like button. If you're watching live, hit the like button. There's 28 of you already. Please hit that like button and encourage other people to watch the Cheese Room tonight. We appreciate your support. Super chats are, of course, live and are the ultimate way of showing your support for the Cheese Room. So do bear that in mind. That said, please do drop us your comments as we discuss topics. And we will read some out on the air and discuss and debate with you. That's what this show's all about. It's an interactive show. And there's just time to plug your show, I think, first, Shan. So you're live a few times this week, aren't you? So what's your schedule look like?
I swear I spend more time live as part of a Cheese Room than I do actually working. It's like a full-time job these days. But yeah, no. My schedule is obviously this show. Then the Shan show on Wednesday.
Yes.
Then we've got the Wren watch along on Thursday. Then we've got the preview for Chelsea on Friday. And then we've got Chelsea watch along on Sunday. So it is like the Craig David song.
Absolutely.
But we've got a fun-packed full schedule of cheese this week for everybody. So do make sure you join as much of those streams as you can.
And Shan, what are you covering on your show?
Spurs' greatest moments. I'm sure there's enough to get through. So,
so your show's a new thing we're going to be doing weekly. Various guests and topical topics. Topical topics.
Topical topics. So yeah, we're just. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a topic every week. Some will be serious topics. Some will be light-hearted. I felt like after the weekend we needed a light-hearted topic, something to pick us all up again, ready for Sunday. Sorry. So yeah, this Wednesday on the Shan Show, Spurs' greatest moments, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll obviously do some proper quizzes because, I am the quiz expert. So we'll have some proper interactive stuff going on as well. I'm looking forward to it.
the quiz, Trist. A couple of questions already. Firstly, smash that like button. Thanks very much for that. Who's down in what drink if we get to 100 likes? Well, it's me on the gin tonight. I've got a lovely, lovely glass of gin here. Shannon, you drinking anything?
No, not tonight.
Good.
Not tonight.
Good idea. H3 has got some H2O, I think.
I say it's a school night, so I've got some pineapple juice in my Audi cup.
Beautiful.
Oh my God.
Audi cup.
Pimping Audi. Interesting.
I can lift it whenever I want.
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. What's the worst that could happen, Shan? And Michael, you got any beverage of choice tonight?
Just squash for me, boring orange. Yeah.
The only one drinking, but I have got this beautiful water as well, ready, just in case. So I could down that if you like, Phil. But let's get to 100 likes anyway. Tottenham Hotspur guaranteed to be ranked by UEFA above Arsenal for the first time since the formation of the Premier League as a direct result of their appearance in the Conference League. That's an interesting fact.
So
At least it's been good for something.
Yeah, it's worth getting in there, isn't it?
Absolutely. Totally agree. So keep dropping your comments in. Go on, HG. Go on.
Look, the point is, the reason that whatever points we get from the Conference League, Arsenal aren't in Europe. So that's it, right? Like, being in the Conference League is good for that respect. But Arsenal haven't been in the Champions League for what, 3-4 seasons now? 5 seasons it might be. It's a long time. We've been in it for a couple of years. But sadly, when it came to the Europa League, they generally did better than we had. They got to the final when they lost to Chelsea. They've got, was it semi-final last year? I don't remember. But yeah, so like it's sad that after being in the Champions League for a number of years when they weren't, it took this long to be ahead of them. As nice as it will be to see us when both clubs aren't in Europe next season.
Wow.
Our UEFA coefficient is better than the Goons as we both sit at home on a Wednesday night doing nothing.
Well, that's the voice of optimism speaking.
There we go.
Let's talk about the game. So, Michael, did you watch it? And what did you think about it?
Well, it's literally everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, didn't it? Let's be honest. Started off all right. You know, it weren't great. Obviously, the team news that came out, it was a bit unflattering, wasn't it? Very flat, if you like. 3 defensive midfielders. I mean, I'm not going to blast Nuno for the team selection. He obviously had his reasons for doing it. For me, like, I know we're going to get into it later on, but for me, the changes had to be made at halftime. It didn't work. I was expecting him to hold his hands up and say, look, guys, this ain't working. We're going to change it and make those changes at halftime.
Yeah.
I was looking at least 2 subs, to be honest, just to change it and just to try and, turn the game in our favour ever so slightly, But yeah, everything that went wrong, the sending off, the penalty, and then the new signing coming on and scoring a brace, that's Tottenham all over. So yeah, it was a very poor early kickoff on Saturday, without a doubt.
Yeah. Team selection, Shan, as you've covered this already, this should be a doddle for you. Where was the thought process around 3 defensive midfielders, do you think?
I don't think there was a thought process, caller, if I'm honest. I think there's that picture on Twitter circulating of a man that looks like Nuno just absolutely out of his face in central London. I reckon that was Nuno when he picked the starting lineup on Saturday. Literally, what was he thinking? Winks, Højbjerg and Skip together. I mean, I don't think Skip should have played. He didn't. He looked well off the pace. He was clearly still injured and shouldn't have played.
A little bit rushed, yeah.
And there's people on Twitter who think that Harry Winks makes Spurs better than Tanguy and Ndombele. Please, someone explain where this logic comes from, because honestly, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And the fact that Brian Hill didn't play also makes no sense. So yeah, Nuno needs to sort it out. He needs to start making better decisions for me.
I actually put a tweet out when the teams were announced, and I just asked followers where the creativity is going to come from. I even suggested maybe Højbjerg playing in a slightly advanced role like he does for Denmark to maybe make something happen. Was Dele on there to maybe float around and pull the defence to one side? Was the fullbacks able to bomb on? And I put these suggestions out there thinking one of them's got to happen, and unfortunately none of them happened. Absolutely none of them happened. We stayed as flat as anything.
So narrow as well.
Even Harry Kane didn't drop deep and maybe bring Dele into play or Mora doing the overlap. That didn't happen either. So everything I basically suggested in terms of creativity just didn't happen.
Where was Dele playing, HD? Because he wasn't really anywhere, was he?
No, people talk about, having, because he was in the front three, he was a left winger. I mean, Dele's never going to be a left winger, right? And he wasn't playing there either. So that was probably good. He needed to be more central, which is what he did. Our issue is that our only outlet really with any pace was Lucas. And Lucas spent most of his time helping Emerson Royal defend against Zaha. So whenever Lucas did get the ball, and there was one moment really early on where he got the ball and beat about 4 or 5 players, but he started closer to our own box than even the halfway line. And that was the problem. You're not going to score 75-yard solo runs against any team in the Premier League. And that was pretty much all we were able to do. We couldn't progress the ball because our 3 defensive midfielders were static in a line. Like, no one really moved forward. They were hoping that Dele would drop deep to get the pass. But without any movement off the ball, we couldn't do anything. And we resorted very quickly to just hoofing it upfield. So, nobody had a good game, but a lot of it was just the balance of the team. We can all sit here and say that obviously Ndombele is persona non grata with Nuno right now and was never going to start ahead of Winks or Skip or whoever. But sadly, when you're thinking about the makeup of the team, you need to have players like that. And with Lo Celso, on holiday in Croatia, we don't have anyone else that can do that. There is no way that we have the ability to move the ball upfield. And so it's distressing, but I suppose also kind of nice to see it so early on. We don't need any more games of just kind of scraping by and hoping to get one goal and hoping that's enough. So you hope to see that we're going to do something different. And when all of our players are back, we can maybe offer a few more options. But it was just a perfect storm of shit. Like the whole week, really, with people getting injured on the internationals, and then knowing that we didn't really have many options. The only one was really to bring in Brian. And if Brian was going to start, then Dele would have maybe played in midfield. But there's no guarantee.
Surely that would have been a better option than Winks, Højbjerg, and flipping.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you can imagine that Nuno might have been thinking, well, Brian's played a couple of games for Spain under 21s. We know, I mean, he said it himself, he doesn't like to bring in players straight away having signed them. He did it with Emerson, but mainly because we didn't really have much choice. So it was either going to be, Joe Rodon starting and playing his first game of the season, or Emerson, who'd actually played for Barcelona. Like, there really wasn't a great option.
Doherty could have played, couldn't they?
Who?
Doherty.
Yeah, I'd forgotten he existed.
Could you imagine him against Zaha? Caller, come on, don't be so silly.
All right, here's another one. He could have played Rodon from the start and kept Tanganga at right back. There's loads of things he could have done.
He could have, and I think he went for experience, right? I mean, that's just it. Harry Winks has played more games in the Premier League than Ndombele has. Dele has played more games in the Premier League than Brian Hill has. I suspect that was a major part of it, if only because it's like you want to believe there's some kind of sense to it. But it was terrible all around, and there's nothing we can really do to change that. But we just hope that it won't happen again.
I'm putting this out there. There's one common denominator with all of Spurs' shit performances, and that's Harry Winks was in the
I knew that was coming.
Some people think Winks is worth 40 million. What the hell? Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. But we interrupt this to bring you a super chat, a channel with sex appeal and caller to bring balance. Unfortunately, with Kane, his early season antics will mean fans will question his commitment. That's an interesting point. Kane was completely anonymous. Bob, we appreciate you, mate. Come back on the show soon. Completely and utterly anonymous, Kane. He did nothing for 90 minutes. Vice captain, Shan, what's going on with Harry?
He hasn't looked great for England either, has he? Even though he's been scoring, he tends to be pretty much invisible until he gets a chance in front of goal, and then he scores a screamer like he did against Poland. But unfortunately, he's not been getting into those situations for Spurs, and the way we've been playing hasn't helped him.
No.
He's not really been getting any service, and he's been getting smothered, to be fair. He just looks like he's stodgy as well. Like, he looks like he's running through like sinking sand. Is that what it's called?
Quicksand.
Quicksand. That's it.
But I like sinking sand. If I'm honest, that sounds better.
Sinking sand.
Sinking Shan.
Sinking Shan.
That's not very nice, is it? We're meant to be friends here. Yeah, it just looks like he's running through quicksand. Like he's trying to I mean, like we were discussing pre-show, I can't run. It breaks me, and I could probably run quicker than Harry Kane. So yeah, he just don't seem at it. I don't think it's a commitment thing because we've seen it from him before. I just think he's obviously late back from his holidays. He's not really had any pre-season, and I think he's still getting up to match sharpness and match fitness. So yeah,
and he was probably knackered because he played Wednesday night in Poland, and we had the Saturday lunchtime game. Like it was one of those weekends where like there was only one game on Sunday on TV. There was only one game at all. Everything else had been pushed to the Saturday, and I guess that was because of the Champions League games that we've got coming up. But surely there was another game that could have been put instead of Palace versus Tottenham. Like the fact that Leicester Man City wasn't shown on TV, I find really strange. Maybe that's just me, but I do find that odd. So I just think that Spurs, not for the first time, got a bit of a shitty draw, and we just couldn't do anything with it. Palace had all week with most of their players to really work on something. I think Palace away is always a difficult game anyway because you know the crowd can get into it. But we were never at the races. Like basically, as soon as Dyer went off, that was it for the day, and we weren't great when Dyer was on the pitch.
Cookie, what are you saying?
Yeah, the early kickoff was just the icing on the cake for a bad week, wasn't it? To be honest, everything that happened throughout the week, and then just to go into that Palace game, a London derby, a 12:30 kickoff was just literally the last straw, wasn't it? Kane, going back to the Kane thing, I agree with what you guys are saying. Last season, when it weren't going right for him, he would drop deep. He would look to get the ball, look to control the game, put a few passes out wide, try and bring people into play. He just didn't want to know, did he? He didn't even come to try and receive the ball. He was happy just to be a pedestrian. I think he's leggy. I think he like you said, he's come back late. I think if maybe September is his August this year. To be honest, I think he'll get going again at the end of the month. Hopefully it's a Chelsea Arsenal game. We can see the real Harry Kane come back. But yeah, going on that performance on Saturday, it's not looking good, is it?
I think Kane is like every single attacking player that we have. They don't want to be in their own half, right? And we couldn't get out of our own half, especially in the second half after the sending off. But that's the issue. Like he's not one to run the channels. He doesn't have the pace to give you that outlet. And with Lucas doing lots of defending, we just didn't have that outlet. So of course Dele would come back. Of course Kane is going to come back. But I don't think either of them have really been that kind of defensive workhorse. When we were really good under Poch and we did press as a team, then they all did their job because they saw a point to it. But when you're just one person running around and there's no real kind of design to what we're trying to do, then I think most players would be like, well, what's the point? And we know that Kane said that at the end of last season. What's the point? I suspect he felt the same, and I don't blame him. We have to find a way to get our attacking players in the opponent's half. Because for 75 minutes on Saturday, we didn't. I think the only half chance we had in the first half was when Højbjerg could have shot from the edge of the area and tried to play Dele in. It was pretty poor by all accounts.
I think it's Harry Kane's first game of his 90-minute game of his career where he's not had a touch in the opposition box or a shot on goal in his whole career. That just sums up how bad that was on Saturday, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's not down to Harry Kane. That's the thing. Right, like he has to get the ball in the box. We have to get the ball to him. He's not going to do that by himself. He never has done. And so there was a definite lack of, it's not even ambition, but it was just understanding that if you want to win the game, you've got to push up. You've got to be brave. And our three midfielders, none of them really want to be that person.
No. Harry Winks, disaster classic. Hi, Holly. Good evening. You need to ditch that cushion of yours now, really. To be honest, what I'd like to see is a public execution of the cushion. Sort of rip its arms off, gingerbread man style.
But what an opportunity it was for Harry Winks, though.
Oh, exactly.
Regardless of what we think of Winks, some fans like him, some fans don't. With the situation that unfolded on Saturday and get a start in the starting lineup, what an opportunity for him to make a statement. To say that I am here, I do want to play. This is what I can do. And that's what I was really hoping for. But again,
he showed exactly what he could do, Michael.
Straight
he showed
passes.
Exactly what he could do.
Yeah, the first 15 minutes, I think he gave the ball away 3 or 4 times, like simple passes. And I was just thinking, this is going to be the tone of the day for Harry Winks.
Yeah. Can I defend him a little bit?
No.
Harry Winks was no worse than Højbjerg and was no worse than Skip.
They
were all rank.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just it. we can give maybe Skip an excuse for various reasons, but I don't think that Harry Winks was necessarily the issue. It's the fact that how they played, all of them was the issue. Not one of them wanted to run beyond someone. And you have to do that at any line. If you're defenders or wherever, even when the defenders want to get the ball from Hugo, they will run into a position where Hugo has a pass to play. Our midfielders don't do that. It is very much side to side, look up and see what you've got. And no offense, I could defend against that. I really could. If I don't have to worry about Lucas, I've only got this big lumbering Kane ahead of me. Great. I'll just stand by him and make it difficult.
I'd love to see you mark Harry Kane.
I'm bigger than him, so I'd have a chance.
Maybe
I can imagine Patrick Vieira looking at that starting lineup. Patrick Vieira looking at that and thinking, "Jesus Christ, guys, we've got to go at these today.
Yeah,
this is a gift." You know, when he saw that starting lineup and having three defensive midfielders in the starting line, it's unbelievable. I bet he was having a right laugh to himself. You know.
We didn't really have much choice, but still, that was like, you can play those. Like, I've never said that Harry Winks is a defensive midfielder. He's played there a lot, but that's not the game that when he was good for Spurs, that wasn't the player. He didn't just sit and try to do a Carrick impersonation. He was able to run forward with the ball. There was a time England played Spain a few years ago in the Nations League, and it was him and Dyer in midfield, and we won that game. And both of them played really well in areas where you never really see them doing that role anymore. I just think that, like, whether he's been told to play it safe or whether he's just decided to play it safe, it's a massive problem, because you need to have runners across the field. You can't just expect the ball to do the work. I can defend against the ball. I don't want to defend against people running behind me.
Does he miss Dembele, do you think, Winks? Do you think he misses playing with someone like Dembele in midfield?
He wouldn't.
Yeah, everyone misses Dembele.
It's got to be a factor, isn't it? Massive factor, you know?
Well, Dembele had the ability to beat someone with the ball in midfield, right? Most teams, either you pass around them, Chelsea are really good at that, where you pass around them, or you have someone who can beat them. But if you don't have movement, or if you don't have players in that area, then it's very easy to, you play triangles in front of me, and we'll win the ball back at some point, and then we'll attack. I don't think it's brain surgery to see that that's what any team could do against us right now. Because it's not like Palace played decently, but we made it really easy for them to put pressure on us, and they took advantage.
So Crocodiles, so with the super chat, thanks very much. We appreciate your support. Whilst playing 3 DMs was a bad call, you'd be expected one of them to make some useful forward play. Then again, Winks at 40 million, God help us all. Whoever put that valuation on Winks, I mean, Levy must be smoking something if that is true, because he's worth about a third of that. And that's just for his homegrown status, to be perfectly honest.
Someone would have paid 20, maybe 25, but no one's paying 40. And not just because of COVID. Like, no one's paying 40 million for Harry Winks. Yeah, so it is a bit ridiculous.
Didn't that come about with when Man City or Man United were interested? Didn't that 40 million fee come around? Yeah. Was it Man City or Man United? I can't remember. One of the Manchester clubs, wasn't it? Yeah, they came in for him or sniffing around him, and that's when that 40 million popped out of thin air, like, you know.
Oh my God, I wish they'd have taken him. Why did we keep him? It's a fair point, isn't it? 3 midfielders.
And that's what I
thought to do something.
Yeah. I thought Højbjerg might have been the one to do that, like he does with Denmark. Slightly progressive, looks for the through ball, looks for the ball over the top. He done it for Denmark. Was it 4 or 5 assists in the Euro?
Yeah, I think for Denmark the issue. I mean, I talked about this, when I wrote my piece before the game. I wanted to see 3 centre backs, because they play 3 centre backs for Denmark, and it allows Højbjerg to kind of go forward, because he's got Delaney there as well next to him. So there's basically 4 people that will hold position while he does that. And maybe he didn't feel comfortable leaving Skip and Winks. I don't know. I guess I could understand that. But I do think that 3 centre-backs, maybe, certainly with Doherty preferring to play in a 5, and it would have given Emerson a bit of cover. So it would never have been one-on-one against Zaha, because had Zaha got past Emerson, then Tanganga would have been there most likely. So no one wants to see Spurs play 5 at the back against Palace, right? Because, we want to go out and beat these teams. But given the players that we had available, it just made the most sense. And it may have meant that Delhi didn't start, because you'd have needed pace with Brian and Lucas up top. But I just think, you have to think of what team will work the best because your 11 best players doesn't make the best team ever at any level. You have to figure out how you're going to do it and how you're going to make life difficult for your opponents. And I don't think we ever really thought that. It was very Mourinho kind of, well, we'll just stick players out there and hope they can figure it out.
Man City starting an 11 with Winks would be a hilarious watch. Yeah, sadly, it's tragic watching us start him. Shan, Emerson's debut. What did you make of that? And then we'll come on to talk about Mr. Tanganga in a minute. So get your comments in, guys. Shan, Emerson, what are your thoughts on that debut?
I thought it was a bit of a mixed bag. I don't think he was awful. I don't think he was one of the worst players on the pitch. He tried to do things. He tried to get further up the pitch, but the midfield wasn't like you could see both him and Reguilon doing it. They were both trying to bomb up the pitch, but the midfield weren't passing the ball to them. So
I was going to say three only know how to pass backwards, isn't it?
Well, exactly. So what are they meant to do? They're trying to do something, but when the midfield completely bypass them, it makes it completely pointless. And then as a result of that, we kept losing the ball. But yeah, I don't think it was awful. Obviously, he got turned by Zaha a couple of times, but I think that's to be expected on his debut. He's still young. He's still learning his craft. And Zaha, he's one of these who's either really up for it or isn't really. He's just a passenger, and he was up for it on Saturday. So I don't think he was awful. I don't think he was particularly good. I think he was just average.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I expected more from Emerson. I will say that. I agree with a lot of what Shannon just said, but I did expect more. I didn't expect him to be so clunky in possession. Sometimes, I mean, he's what, 6'1", so he's quite a big defender.
Big,
but you get some players that glide across the pitch, or they're just, Walker was a perfect example. He's fast, but he looks fast even when he's going at half speed. Emerson just looked. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I thought he looked worse. I thought he looked worse than what we've seen Aurier do. Now, he may not have the brain farts that Aurier had, but when it came to actually, like, as a footballer, to look like a footballer and where it appears as if you know what you're going to do with the ball, I don't think Emerson showed that. I know it's the first game, so I'm not writing him off, but I did expect to see a bit more confidence, a bit more that I belong here, right?
To be fair, the team around him were playing absolutely atrociously, so that probably didn't help him either.
No, and you got to think the centre backs changed twice in that game as well. To come into a brand new team, brand new league, and then to have two centre backs effectively change in the same game. That's got to be. I mean, in his defence, I know he wasn't great, but that's got to be a factor as well.
I think we've seen enough from him to think he can improve. Let's put it that way.
He'd better improve.
I think everyone's expecting a lot bigger things, to be honest. The one thing I would say is, you're right, Shan. He did get into some really good positions on the right, and no one was picking him out.
He was waving like.
Him and Reguilon, both of them were like this. Come on, I'm here. Pass me, please. They just weren't doing it.
The problem is when you've got three DMs and they are DMs really. They're all negative-minded players. None of them are a beat a man. None of them can really pick a pass. The problem is when you've got those three people in the midfield, they're not looking out to the wing all the time. They're not looking out for the balls. They're just passing it between them passively. Passively.
I think Skip's capable of that, to do that. I just think he weren't his day on Saturday. Like I said, I think he was leggy. I think he was rushed back maybe from injury. He weren't himself. But I do think Skip's capable of putting the ball out wide.
We've seen the type of balls that Skip can play. We've seen what he can do. He's more
just a bad day at the office for everyone,
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Tanganga. So, absolutely, Tanganga lost his head. I think that's fair to say. Was that the turning point in the game, HG? Was that the moment the game was lost?
It was the moment where it made it almost impossible for Spurs to win. I think we would have lost anyway, if I'm honest. Even if we'd stayed at 11, we just never looked at the races. I know that he got sent off at a time where it looked like Brian was going to come on, so maybe you never know. You hope that something good was going to happen, but there was one guy who commented. I should find the comment. He talked about Tanganga being our best player. I completely agree with that. Tanganga looked great. He really did look good. I mean, even when Dye went off, suddenly Tanganga is like the senior defender. right? He's played more Premier League games than Joe Rodon has. So it's crazy to think that. So I just, it was crazy to do what he did so quickly after the first challenge. I thought the first challenge was hilarious. I'm not going to lie. But
it was.
Yeah, it was. And
It
I
really
think
was.
that, like, it's one of those things. Like, in my head, I compare Tanganga to Azpilicueta, right? That kind of guy that he's always there. He can play right back, he can play centre back, he can play left back, and he'll always give you a 7. He's never terrible. Sometimes he's great, but he always gives you something, and he's solid. That's what I want Tanganga to become. He's not that level right now, but that's kind of what I see him doing. But Azpilicueta would never have taken that second challenge. He's smarter. And that was the issue. Tanganga flew in, probably wasn't a yellow, but with the crowd and everything, it was always going to happen. So it was the turning point in the game, as in it made it almost certain that Palace were going to win. But yeah, I think they probably would have anyway.
Really? You think they would have won with 11 players on the pitch for Spurs?
Yeah, because I mean, like, unless Brian was going to come on for, I mean, we don't know what was going to happen.
He was about to come on.
But we don't know who was he coming on for. Was it Winks that was going to be hooked? Like,
I reckon it was probably Skip.
Yeah. I mean, we'll never know. But I just think, like, Palace, they play a certain way. You know what we all know. We saw it last year. They did exactly the same to us last year. They weren't amazing, but they built up this pressure and they got their rewards. And I think, with 3 goals in the last 15 minutes, so actually got them the win. I just think that it was probably going to happen anyway, because Spurs, even if we had the best 11 available out there, I don't think there was really a plan as how we were going to hurt Palace. Palace, once they realised that we didn't really have anything, they could leave Anderson and with the other centre half, was it Guehi, leave them at the back. They didn't have to worry about anything. I don't think I saw Anderson's name at all in the second half. And I think Guehi, when he let the ball bounce and he might have been sent off for barging down Lucas, that was the only time I really saw him. It was all Palace that second half, and I'm not sure we'd have changed it. I really don't think so.
I feel. Sorry, go on.
I think the main thing here is if Tanga don't get sent off, Ben Davies doesn't come on the pitch. He was absolutely awful. Honestly, I saw a comment when I was doing the watch along that it was like a war crime. It was. It was like a war crime. It was horrendous. So I think we could probably got a 0-0. I reckon we were probably playing for the draw anyway if Davies didn't come on the pitch. He completely let that red card and Davies come on the pitch led to that capitulation 100%.
Yeah, quite possibly. It was a soft handball, wasn't it? I mean, Michael.
It wasn't. His hand was out here. It was not in a natural position. It was. No. You don't defend like that.
No. Yeah. Well, unless you are Ben Davies, in which case you do. Michael Davis, poor. Just poor.
Yeah, he just came into the game a bad game, didn't he? And had a bad game himself. That was basically it, wasn't it? His hand was out. They're going to be given nowadays. That's a penalty, isn't it? You can't have your hand outstretched from your body. You could argue it was. You couldn't really do much about his arm trying to get out of the way, but it was always going to be given. Just going back to Tanganga, I just felt he had a rush of blood, didn't he? When he just literally took Sahar out, and then I think he showed a bit of maturity and sort of grabbed hold of Sahar to say, "Look, stop." He seemed like he was almost trying to calm Sahar down and also having a go at him at the same time, but trying to keep his arms down so no one could swing any punches. So I felt he did show a little bit of maturity there and trying to hold his arms down. And I thought
the one thing I know, I backed Tanganga in a fight. Wilf backed off.
Yeah, you see Wilfred Zaha's face change when he realised how strong I think Tanganga was. But then again, I think he was unlucky with the second yellow because he made a great interception and then he sort of went to play the pass. It deflected off someone, didn't it? And he sort of just went in for that lunging tackle, which is obviously, again, it's going to be resulting in a yellow card. But the interception was brilliant. So I don't think it was a rush of blood from the Zaha thing, the second yellow. I think it was just an unfortunate deflection that got away from him. And then he went in for the lunge. But the interception
that's where the maturity comes in. You don't lunge like that for a 50-50 ball when you're on a yellow. That's the reality of it. And, hopefully he'll learn from that. As this comment's come in and said, he'd be on the first team sheet for the Europa League. He'd play out of his skin to make amends. No point in punishing and shattering his confidence. I agree with that, to be fair, because he's been great all season. He probably did cost us the game for my money, if I'm being really honest, because there's no way back from that. You're playing appallingly. Then you're not going to come back from it. And I agree with you to an extent, HG, because we'd offered absolutely nothing up to that point. But I think that
we could have played all day and we weren't going to score in that game. The way it was.
I really wanted to see Hill come on and see what he was capable of. And that was probably my biggest disappointment about Tanganga getting sent off.
Just on that Tanganga incident, did you think it was a foul on Lucas Moura in the build-up, or did you think Gallagher won the ball? Because it's a very hard one to see, wasn't it? I thought it was a foul at first, but when you look at it, it looks like Gallagher just nicked it.
I think he just got enough of the ball, to be honest.
Yeah, I do. And when I first watched it, I thought it was a foul, and I was thinking, bloody hell, ref! Like, to be honest, going to the ref didn't give us nothing.
The whistle, and that's
and just on the ref was terrible. He didn't give us nothing all day. He literally gave us nothing. So,
hi, Brian. Yeah. Brian's landed in the UK. Welcome home. Thanks for watching. Could you argue that Davis was the downfall of our defence? I don't think we looked bad defensively until Davis came on.
100%.
Because even Rodon done all right, didn't he, to be honest?
Yeah, Rodon looked good.
And he ain't kicked a ball for a while, has he? Properly competitively. So,
yeah.
And he came
in. Paul love child did very well indeed, I thought.
I never want to see Davies in a centre-back 2 ever again. Ever.
No, he gets away with it in a 3, I think, a little bit more because obviously there's people mopping up for him. Davis is a very 6 out of 10 player, isn't he? That's the reality. He's absolutely a stopgap squad player, but you've got to play him to his strengths. And left back, you get away with it a little bit more, I think. Centre back, he was completely exposed. He looked. Lots of comments about Davis, championship player. Yeah. Paul Muir. Loving it, loving Rodon. I think that was probably made his day actually. Him coming up.
He done all right. Rodon done all right, definitely.
He did do all right, and I'd want to see him actually in the Europa League on Thursday, get some more minutes because he looked good.
It'll be interesting because like Tanganga will play against Rennes because he can't play against Chelsea, so he will play. But yeah, like what do we do? Because like you'd imagine that Romero would probably come back for the Chelsea game. So it's going to be Rodon and Tanganga, I guess, Thursday night. But it is like, if you play Rodon and he gets injured, then what? Like, we're at that stage that I don't know how long Dyer's out for. Is it just a dead leg? I think it might be.
Yeah,
but
that's what
That's what everyone's saying, dead leg,
That could be, 10 days? I mean, that could be Chelsea and Arsenal, maybe. You just don't know.
Is that not a blessing in disguise? Because we might get to see Romero come into the starting 11. And that's my next point. I suppose Romero, Lo Celso, and Sanchez will slot straight back into that side potentially, won't they? For Chelsea, you would think. I mean, Christ Almighty, it can't get any worse.
To be fair, I'd completely forgotten about Sanchez. Right, so we're talking about Davies in the 2. I mean, that's never designed to happen. Right, it happened because we were missing 2 centre backs. We then lost a centre back to injury, and we lost another one to a red card. That's the only way it can happen. So it was. I don't want to say unfortunate because some of it was our own doing, but. Like going forward that we don't expect to see Davis at centre half. We won't see that again.
Yeah,
only Tottenham can lose 2 defenders while they got 2 stuck in Croatia. Only Spurs. Only that can happen to Spurs. It was just unbelievable, wasn't it? But I think Sanchez and Romero will come straight in.
I think Chelsea. We might see a 3 against Chelsea.
Oh, really? Who? Go on, HG.
Oh, I thought Shan was going to say who.
I think it'll be Sanchez. Oh God, no. Rodon. I think it'll be Rodon, Sanchez, and Romero. Rodon on the left, Romero in the middle, Sanchez on the right.
There might be something in that. Like the good thing is that Sanchez and Romero are in Croatia together. So they can learn, and they speak the same language, so they can learn to do those things. So that really could work. But it's just really odd to think that the 3 that we have start against Chelsea next week wouldn't have started the previous week, even if Rodon played most of the game. He didn't start. It's just only Spurs, right? And we're the only team that really got basically shafted by the whole traveling to South America, Brazil thing. No one else did, and like that sticks in my sticks for me a little bit.
Villa had a couple of players, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but I don't care about Villa.
Well, you said the only team.
Yeah, but I don't care about Villa. I care about the teams that I want to try and get above. I'm already above Villa now. Maybe Villa will be better than us this season. There's a chance, absolutely. But I'm looking at the teams ahead of us. Like, we were top of the league. Why am I worried about Villa? Where were they? They lost to Watford, for crying out loud.
Okay. So, any positives to draw from that, Michael? Any positives at all that can be drawn from that farce?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think so. Just getting out with 3-0, I think was a positive, because I think if that had gone on another 10 minutes with that Edouard up front, I think he would have got another couple. I think we were completely broken when he came on. You could see Emerson weren't getting back on the back post. He was miles away. I think Roland played the second goal onside. I think we was completely broken by that point, and luckily he only came on with a couple of minutes to go. But yeah, nothing really. I mean, I think Lucas Moura maybe can come out of this game with a little bit more credit than the rest. I thought he was the only person trying to do something in the first half, especially had that shot on target in the second half. One of our only 2 shots in the whole game. Positives wise, no, I don't see any positives at all, really.
The positives, it was only 3-0, Shan.
The positives is that the women did what the men couldn't do. And once again, Spurs have beaten City.
They made changes. It weren't working in the first half, and they made changes.
Their game management was brilliant.
Yeah, they made changes and they got the job done.
I mean, like, we talk about the substitutions. Obviously, with Dyer having gone off already, we only had 2 to make at halftime, and you could understand that, maybe just one, because you need to leave one just in case. And having with Tanganga getting sent off, it would have been wise to do so. But it's just that the fact that we didn't change anything at halftime will stick, because we all knew it wasn't going to work. We all knew it was highly unlikely that Spurs were going to win the game, and we wanted Spurs to go out and try and win it. And we were. I don't want to say worried about them, because you have to be worried about your opponents. You really do. But you've still got to worry about your own ability to do what you want to do. And I don't think Spurs ever really took that into consideration.
I think we gave them too much respect.
It was mentioned in commentary, wasn't it? When we came out second half, we done exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Nothing changed. And that's on Nuno for me. I've got a lot of credit for Nuno. I think he's been superb so far. But I think he needs to look at that first half and think, Jesus, we've got to change something. Because we can play all day, we're not going to score it.
The worry is, Nuno, his after-game comments said he thought he dominated the first half.
Yeah, and when they asked him about creativity, he said it is a problem. And then we're thinking, why didn't you make a change then?
Yeah,
if it's a problem, make a change.
Creative players on the bench.
Yeah, you've got to look at what's going on in the first half and try and change the game to win the game. At 0-0, you've got to try and win the game. Simple as that.
Well, at 0-0, you've got to try and win the game. And when you've got 100 people watching and only 31 likes, I've got to try and do something about that. So please do like. I will down this bottle of water if we get to 100 likes. Please do hit the like button. Absolutely. Roden being on was a big plus.
Yeah,
I'll agree with that, because I thought he really did well. The women, Shan, forgive my ignorance, I didn't watch it. Can you just tell me what happened? What went down?
It was a really good game, to be fair. I really enjoyed watching it. I think it's good that they're on TV now. Yeah. But yeah, it was very much a Man City Spurs performance, I must say. Obviously, we conceded in the 6th minute. Basically absorbed loads of pressure in the first half until Rian, the manager, made some really good changes in the second half, and then we basically hit them on the counter twice and scored. The second one was a clear handball, but there's no VAR in the women's game, so who cares?
Caller, you have to see the second goal. You have to find a video of it. It is genius. Was it like 2 handballs and off the keeper's leg? Something like that?
We handballed it. Their centre half handballed it. It came off the post, hit the goalkeeper on the knee and went in.
Yeah.
That's basically
it. Great. Absolutely brilliant.
It sounds wonderful. Yeah.
City had gone 33 games at home without being beaten, and then our women's team went there and beat them.
Yeah, since 2018.
Go girls. Go girls.
Unbeaten this season.
You want to get hold of Andy and mention that.
Honestly, I'd love it, but I don't think I want to break him any more than we've already broken him this season. But the hoodoo continues for City, which is something you love to see.
You can see their manager and their players hated it that we won as well. They absolutely hated it because they absolutely dominated us in the first sort of 50 minutes. And then we sort of just, like I said, like Shan said, made the changes and then turned them over. Brilliant. Brilliant.
It was end to end as well. Once we made them changes, it was end to end stuff. We'd hit them, they'd hit us.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper was absolutely brilliant. She made some really, really good saves. Defensively, it was really good. It was a good watch.
Well, I've got to say there's some negativity in the chat today. I mean, not as much as I've seen on Spurs Twitter this week, but I predict Spurs are going to get absolutely destroyed against Chelsea. The confidence energy has been completely roundhouse, 5 or 6-0, I reckon. Sweaty Cockerel, how are you this evening? Do we think that's gonna happen, Shan?
No.
Different team, surely. I mean, London derby. You'd like to think we're a bit more up for it.
I've seen that Bergwijn and Sonny will probably be back for the Chelsea game as well. So that straight away is a boost.
Yeah.
You've got your pace back. So
and centre backs back. Hopefully,
and we've got some centre backs back, and we've got Gio Lo Celso back as well. Because I think even if we'd put Gio Lo Celso in that team against Palace, it would have made a big difference. Just having someone that could do something.
It's almost
in that
like we
midfield
needed someone to progress the ball. If only we had someone on the bench who could do
like
that.
Tanguy and Ndombele, honestly.
We're missing Sonny though, big time.
Oh, 100%.
That's huge. Huge.
I was saying to Franco in the watch along, basically what we need, if Nuno gets sacked, I don't want Nuno to be sacked, but I do think he needs to, if we see too much of that with a full stadium, he's going to be under a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. But if he was to get sacked, they just need to get the cheese room in to manage Spurs. We'd win the league. We know exactly what we're doing. So if we know what needs to happen, why can't Nuno, who gets paid lots of money to manage the team, do it? It's just bizarre. But yeah, Chelsea, I don't think we'll lose 5 or 6-0. I actually think it could be similar to the pre-season friendly, and we end up like drawing 2-2. I think that might be my prediction this week. 2-2. Yeah. We are at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Or it might be similar to the City game. I think we'll be absorbing shitloads of pressure and trying to hit them on the counter, but we will have good players on the pitch able to do so. The right mix, because and hopefully Kane's going to have a rest this week. I'm hoping he doesn't play on Thursday night, to be honest. I'm hoping he completely rests this week and we get a fully fit and flying Kane back in the squad. But we'll cover all of this and more on Friday's show, so do tune into Friday's show where we will preview the Chelsea fixture. Elsewhere this weekend, Ronaldo back. Got a lovely tap-in goal, didn't he, HG? What did you make of his return?
I haven't seen it. Not seen anything apart from Palace Spurs this weekend. In fact, I haven't even seen Palace's third goal. So you can't ask me about it.
Yeah.
I've no idea how Ronaldo did. I saw they won handsomely. They're a really good side. They've got really good players and they seem to work well. So I know it was only Newcastle, but I don't know how Ronaldo did at all.
Do you see it, Shan? Do you see his goals?
No. To be honest, I was so angry. I did the watch along, then I went on Mari's channel and moaned about it there as well. Then I had a nap and then I did the pod and moaned some more. And then I went on Bob's show and then moaned even more. It was about an hour spent on Harry Winks. You should watch it, Caller. You'd really enjoy it.
Well, I'd be all over that, to be honest. I'd absolutely big up Bob. I'd absolutely be all over that. Michael, the Gooners won their 6-pointer. That was disappointing, wasn't it?
Yeah, week of the underdogs, wasn't it? Someone sent me in WhatsApp earlier. The tennis, the tennis and Arsenal winning, and week of the underdogs. Just going back to Ronaldo, I saw his goals just quickly. The first one, so I think was it Greenwood or someone led a shot and the keeper spilled it and Ronaldo just
tapped it in.
He just what he does best, just reacts quickly and just tapped it in. And the second one, he got put through. It was a great first touch to take it away from the centre back and then just smashed it through the keeper's legs. To be honest, the Newcastle keeper was absolutely horrendous. To be fair, I don't know who he is. He was absolutely horrendous. But yeah, Ronaldo just showing his qualities. Was he 36, 37? He's still flying around. Still got pace. He's a superstar. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, he doesn't have the body of a 36-year-old, does he?
He doesn't. No way.
Let's be honest. He's
going to score goals this season. Don't be mistaken about that. He's definitely going to score goals. He's definitely going to elevate Man United. Let's be honest.
Well, that's a shame, isn't it? So it's nearly this time last season we beat them 6-1, was it? 5-1.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that won't be happening this season. It might be the other way round.
Yeah.
We ain't got Lamela to get one sent off, have we? We ain't got no.
Well, this is where you miss the shithousery. I'm hoping Romero's got a bit of something about him, to be honest. Lo Celso's good at that, to be fair.
Yeah, he likes a bit
Lo
of that.
Celso's good at winding people up and getting in their faces. So, Shan, apparently all the South American players played this weekend, after all. So all that sort of Premier League banning them was a load of nonsense, really. So we suffered more than anyone else.
Yeah, but we always suffer more than anyone else. I don't know why we do it to ourselves.
Tottenham all over, isn't it?
Honestly,
I love this. Nuno's fault for winning the Manager of the Month award.
Exactly. It all started with him winning that award, and then everyone getting injured, and then our players ended up in Brazilian jail. Like, you couldn't make it up. It's the stuff of nightmares. Even if you tried to predict what's happened over the last couple of weeks since the Watford game, you wouldn't have been able to. It's just been bonkers, literally bonkers. But yeah, no. I mean, Spurs didn't actually say they could go, did they? But they couldn't stop them from going. They said they didn't want them to go, and they went anyway. And you can't stop them. You can't hold them hostage. So unless you're Brazil, but yeah, it's just one of those really unfortunate things. They've just won the Copa America. They wanted to show the trophy to their countrymen at the stadium. Yeah. You can understand why they wanted to go, but Jesus Christ, I hope they get a big fine.
Well, a fine's not necessarily going to put them off, is it? That's the only thing. Will be interesting. I mean, the next international break's not too far away. The tennis was great. I tell you what, the tennis was absolutely
it was
awesome.
Brilliant.
Absolutely love that. Brilliant. So that salvaged the weekend for me, to be honest, because I thought that was awesome. Let's talk a bit about Rennes, or Rennes, I should say. We've got them Thursday night. They're not a bad team, are they, HG?
No, they're really not. They sold their best player to Real Madrid just before the end of the window, but they bought, I think, 2 or 3 players for about 10 million. So they'd spent the money in advance, let's say. But they bought one of the guys who played for Dinamo Zagreb that knocked us out last year. Yeah. They're a decent team, Rennes. I'm kind of annoyed that we've got them away first game because it's the most difficult game in the group. It would have been nice to get, Mura at home or whoever just to, get us those 3 easy points. Yeah, like we want to win the group, and I have a feeling that if we lose to Rennes, that may not be so easy. So it's a tough one. I might well pick. It's weird because I think like if people like Lo Celso, he can't play, can he? So yeah, I don't know. Like who's going to play?
And Ndombele's got to play, surely. If he don't play,
this
is done for war crimes. If he don't play.
But this is it. So Galini's in goal. Ndombele should be in midfield. You may be looking at Rodon and Tanganga at the back. Mm-hmm. Davies will probably play at some point. Back. Probably start the game,
back.
right?
He'll start left back.
Doherty.
I don't mind Davies at left back. He's reliable at left back. I just never want to see him at centre back again.
Yeah. You imagine Brian Hill would start. So like, yeah, okay. You don't think Kane will, so Scarlett will be there. But there's 7 or 8 quality players or decent players. But I just think that I think it's going to be a tough game. And Rennes, they won't have the attitude of, it's only the Conference League, right? Their attitude will be, this is Spurs. We want to beat Spurs. They're a really good side. They've got a higher coefficient than Arsenal, so they must be good.
I thought you were talking about Rennes.
Yeah, well, I think Rennes played Arsenal a few years ago in the Europa, and they might have beaten Arsenal, I think, 2-1 at Rennes, and then lost the second leg at Arsenal. But it's not an easy game, and I kind of want us to see us play a strong side because getting a point would help us. I want to win the group. I don't want us to be second and have to play an extra round of knockouts. No, like we need to take it seriously. I think that losing to Rennes would make it very unlikely that we finish top. But it's that simple. So it's not going to be easy at all.
No. Well, Michael, how are we going to line up for this one? What do you want to see?
Yeah, I think just the players we've mentioned. I think Davies and players like that, but Brian Hill and Ndombele will get in there. Hopefully see Dane Scarlett either start. Well, hopefully start because Harry Kane hopefully won't be playing in that game. But we've got to go strong enough to get something there. Like you said, I think Rennes a team to beat in the group. We don't want to be coming second, so we've got to go out there with a slightly strong maybe mixed with a couple of youngsters in the squad, but we've got to go out there slightly strong to win that game. And like you said, the danger of the teams that we've got in our group is that they don't see the Conference League as a Mickey Mouse Cup, if you like. They see that as they're playing Tottenham, like you said, HD, and they want to win that tournament. They want to win the group. So we can't take it lightly, you know.
We'll see Jack Clark. I don't think he's in the squad, is he?
Oh, he is. Yeah, we'll see him. We'll see him. He may not play, but we'll see him.
Franco wants to see a team of 11. He wants to see a team of 11 Jack Clarks.
Well,
that would be something.
I like that one. Reliable and Davison saying, wash your mouth with gin flavoured soap, Shan. Yeah, I mean, what lineup are you pitching for, Shan?
Jesus Christ.
Can you name 11 that you want to see?
It's very hard at the minute to name 11 that I want to see, but this is the 11 that I think we will see. I reckon it'll be Doherty at right back, Tanganga and Roden at centre back, Davies at left back. I reckon we're going to see Ndombele, Winks, and maybe Niall John in the midfield.
Yeah.
Brian Hill at left wing, Dane Scarlett, and then there's space for. I really don't want to see. It depends if Bergwijn's fit. I think if Bergwijn's fit for the Chelsea game, I think Mora will play on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Jack Clark, it's all set up for him. It's all set up for him. This is his chance.
I'd rather see
Markandé.
That's what I was going to say. I'd rather see Markandé play than Jack Clark.
He was on the bench.
Franco.
Franco knows my love for Markandé. So
for Markandé to be on the bench against Palace, he must be fancied more than Jack Clark to travel to Palace. You know.
No, I'm fancied more than Jack Clark. I've got to be honest. Like literally, his stock couldn't go much lower. And there's a common theme here. It's all since Franco started waxing lyrical about him. He's gradually gone down in Spurs' estimation. Listen very carefully. I shall say this early once. Spurs 3, Ren 1.
Take that all day long. Yeah,
we absolutely would say that all day. I think it's going to be a bit closer than that.
It's a shame that Sessegnon is out because he would have played. Absolutely, he'd have started, and we were able to find a spot for him somewhere. But it's
same old story though, isn't it?
Hamstrings. Yeah, his hamstrings just terrible.
HG, do you think Ndombele is going to seek political asylum in France and not come back?
What you mean? He's going to go home and stay home, like in his home country, seeking political asylum?
Yeah.
No, because 200 grand a week is 200 grand a week. You don't give that up. But obviously, French football is where he's played his best football. But no, like Tanguy knows that if he wants to have the career that he can have, really, then he's got to start producing for Spurs. It's that weird quandary of he wants, obviously, I think, to do well. I do think he wants that. We want him to do well. But if you're in the position he is, where he's got 4 years left on his deal, maybe it would be better for him to just stink up the place to the point where Spurs are like, okay, we will do anything to get rid of you. Because if he shows any kind of quality, we'll keep him around another year. Like Levy will do that regardless.
Well, I suppose the other reason he might want to stay in France is to avoid another Levy pep talk.
that would be a very good reason. Levy was like, I came to Rennes on a school day trip once, and no.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Rennes. Rennes, they beat Rosenborg to qualify in the second leg, and then they've just lost their last 2 league games 2-0 without scoring.
Who against?
Reims is it? And Angers. 2-0, both games. So they've not scored a goal in the last 2 league games.
Dr. Tottenham will see you now.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh no! And on that note, I'm going to get a drink.
I want to talk about Alfie Devine. Paul, yes, absolutely.
I know he's only. What's going on here? What have you been doing, Shan? She shanned me.
Shannon is everywhere. Okay. Wow. It's much better. Caller, we don't have to look at your face ever again. We'll just look at Shan twice. I think everyone would prefer that, not just us. Alfie Devine is a quality player, absolutely. And he may well end up being that number 10 second striker, whatever. But at 17, if Scarlett's going to get game time, why not Devine? I don't think there's much difference really between the two of them when it comes to quality for that age. So Devine has got, there are more options. We don't have to play him, whereas Scarlett seems to be, the first next option. But yeah, Devine is quality. I'd like to see him more involved. And Markanday's up there too, obviously. But I think Devine for 17 is something else.
He looks like he's bulked up a bit, Devine, as well. He looks like he's worked on his frame and stuff like that since he's been at Spurs. He does look a bit more robust and ready to go.
I'm pretty certain his dad played rugby league professionally, so I think there's something in that kind of stocky build, because he's not the biggest. But maybe he adds on muscle quite easily. I mean, I don't know. I'm not one to talk about muscle. But I just think when you look at the kids, like Pascozzi is another one who could play. I think we've all been relatively impressed with him. He's been playing it for Estonia. Why not have him in a 3? If it was Pascozzi and Tanganga and Roden, I'd be all right with that too. We do have the players to make a decent 11, but weirdly enough, I think for me the striker is the weak spot. Like, as much as Dane Scarlett might be the next Harry Kane, I just think it's really, really tough to expect much from him at 17. He barely played senior football. It's just, I'm surprised that so many Spurs fans seem to be like, Dane Scarlett is the future, because I just think it's too early to say that.
Yeah, we just never replaced Vinicius, did we? And in the transfer window, so we've not got that backup striker that we've all been crying out for. And these games would have been perfect for someone who's not getting in the first team in the Premiership to go into the Conference League and score some goals for us. But
it would have been the perfect competition for Vinicius. Let's be real. He would have absolutely. He would have probably won a Golden Boot in that competition. He was very good in the Europa League. I don't understand how that picture has ended up there. I don't.
Yeah.
What have you done to me?
Caller obviously realizes that the only way people are going to look at his screen is if it's not him. So he's stolen your photo from somewhere else and decided that that's it.
Yeah, absolutely, because I'll do that. There's a super chat in from Faz. Hi, Faz. I support Nuno until he starts Winks again. Do you agree? What are you saying, Cheese Room?
We support him until Thursday then, right?
He's going to start Winks on Thursday, almost certainly, isn't he? But I think in a league game, if he starts him again, he's dead to me.
Can you imagine? What if he doesn't? What if he doesn't start Winks? That means Winks may well start against Chelsea.
Oh
my God. You're going to want him to play Thursday, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
He does not start against Chelsea. If he does, I'm storming the pitch.
What are you going to do? Jump from the mid-tier of the North Stand onto the goalpost and monkey climb your way down?
I know my way around.
He's going to do a Tanganga, isn't he? He's going to do a Tanganga on Winks.
He's going to do an Eric Dyer, but the opposite direction. That's all.
Caller will be like that cat video from the Miami Stadium that was been shown over the weekend, just hanging there for dear life. Yeah, that's it. I can see that.
From the mid-tier, just please.
Dangling over the away fans. Yeah. Chelsea got any fans? Oh, they're all, of course they are, post-2000s. Would anyone start Winks on, Ren? I guess you'd all start him against Ren because, makes kind of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I suppose. But if Lo Celso was fit, then I'd start Dombele and Lo Celso and play 3 at the back.
Well, Lo Celso's not.
Yeah, but that's just it. If he was available, then I would do that.
He's not.
That's why I said if.
So you wouldn't.
You understand? You understand the word if? Caller.
So you would play him then.
Well, who else have we got? Do you know what I mean? Who else have we got?
We
What
want defenders to play 3 at the back against Ren, because then you'd have to put Davies in and you've got no one to play at left back.
Yeah, but Davies would play as well, the left wing back probably, because Sissensen's not out. Yeah, but we want to. But this is the point. At some point, people are going to think Winks is not our future. The club tried to sell him anyway, so whoever it is, if it's not,
asked for 40 million, so they were not trying very hard.
No, possibly not. But 40 million is ridiculous. But we know what Levy does. He always overprices and hopes that people will negotiate. I don't negotiate. If you overcharge me for something, I just walk away. I don't know why Levy thinks that suddenly he's like, if I say he's worth 40, they'll come in with 30, and I'll say done, as if he's trigger. This is just silly.
He's Brewhandle.
It's like negotiation superstar when he can't get teams to the table because they all just walk away. I would be tempted to play anyone else genuinely, and it's not because I really think Winks can't do it. I think he can, but what are Spurs going to learn from it? I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I know I've talked about having quite a strong team because it's Ren away, but is there anyone else? Can Niall John play there? I don't know, but it's I'd be looking at other options for sure.
Yeah. Bring plenty of youth players in, just play the kids and hope for the best. Really, no, not agree with that.
No, I don't want the entire team to be under 16s or whatever. But
does it matter if we lose? Does it matter if we lose?
Really? It matters to me. I want to win.
Well, I do. But does it matter in terms of qualification from that group? Probably not.
I want to win. I want to win.
I think it stinks the place out as well if you lose to Palace, lose to Rennes, and then we've got Chelsea coming up, and you just think, 3 losses on the trot.
And the
game.
Could be level on points with Arsenal before long.
Exactly. And then he is under pressure.
Going into
there we go.
Derby.
Craig, you're the man. Harvey White. I would play Harvey White with Dombele over Winks. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd play you ahead of Winks, HG.
Thank you.
You might have the turning circle of the Bismarck, but I'd still play you over Winks.
Yeah, I'd pass it forward. Oof.
Thursday's lineup will give us some clues about the lineup against Chelsea. Without that, what we see on Thursday night will show us quite a few players that are going to be playing against Chelsea on Sunday. For me, so I don't want to go too strong, but I think we need to go strong enough to get a result at Rennes. But I don't want to be risking players that we could be starting against Chelsea for sure.
We need to consider that I've actually got to suffer a watch along to this game. So I want it to be half decent. I can't go through what I went through on Saturday again. Honestly, by the end, I was just like, I just wanted to go into a dark room and die.
Can we clip that? Let's clip that. That is the highlight of the show. Spurs make you want to go into a dark room and die. But it's not even Spurs. It's the thought of Spurs. Might be too much.
The thought of having to do the watch along to Spurs against Rennes on Thursday is enough to give you that thought. That's why I want to see something half decent. I can't do that again. That was
I can't remember the last time we were that bad, to be honest. Palace game.
I can't. I
honestly can't think.
We were better in Passos. We were better in Passos than we were in that game.
Yeah, it's just.
And we played the under 23s.
2 shots in the entire game is just unbelievable.
Well, there's 120 odd people watching and only 50 likes. So come on, guys, hit the like button. Please do like, subscribe, and share. Help us grow. There's enough cheese for everybody in the world. Feed the world. Winston Davis will get Nuno the sack, possibly if he keeps playing. In a way, the Rennes game is more important than the Chelsea game. Do you agree with that, Shan?
No.
Why?
It's a London derby.
So is Palace.
Not the same. It's not the same, is it? It's Chelsea. It's definitely not more important than the Chelsea game. I'd definitely still prioritise the Chelsea game. If we lose to Rennes, then there is still every chance we could finish top if we win every other game.
Yeah.
But to lose to Chelsea at home is more than I could bear. Because if we prioritise the Rennes game and then lost to Chelsea at home, I think I would actually go into a dark room and die.
Yeah.
Is it classed as
I'm hosting this week?
I know.
Is it classed as a priority because this is more of a realistic cup we can win over the Premier League or top 4 if you like? I don't know. I don't believe that, but if there's anyone that thinks that's the more important game on Thursday, it's surely because it's a cup that we can realistically win.
Nah, because every 3 points is important if we want to have aspirations of getting into Europe via the league next season. I still think we can finish 5th or 6th, but if we do that, we need to give it welly in the league. We can't be going into games at home against Chelsea prioritising a Thursday night game.
No,
in my opinion, what precedent does that set?
No. It's for all the people who are paying 70 quid a ticket or whatever it is to watch a category a big game at the Lane. No, we're not going to prioritise it. To be fair, he said it's more important. there's maybe an argument for that, although I don't think so, because we want to stop Chelsea. Like even if it's good for Spurs, we want to stop them. We know that they're really good. Sadly, they do have a really good team. But yeah, we've got 4 games in 3 competitions in the next 2 weeks, because we've got the Wolves Cup game as well.
Yeah.
At some point, they're probably going to be thinking who's going to be available, and you could, in theory, kind of plan out a system where nobody plays more than 3 games. I know you can't plan too far ahead because of injuries and whatever, but still, we've got a fair idea that hopefully, if I knock on wood, hopefully we won't get any more injuries. So we can say, right, Tanganga misses the Chelsea game. We know the quarantine boys are back for the Chelsea game, so they may play Chelsea and Wolves and Arsenal. Those ones really, because they'd have been two weeks without a game. It's weird, but I think, because we do have 5 more games in the group afterwards, as much as it's Rennes and it's a tough game, that is probably the least important, because you have 5 games to make it up. And if we lose 1-0 in Rennes and then we beat them 4-1 at Spurs, we would finish above them if all results were the same after that. So, but yeah, I don't know. I want us to go as strong as we feasibly can in every game.
Yeah, I do think. Do you think we might have missed a trick? Not getting on big Rafa. He seems to be doing all right at Everton, plays a lot of attractive football. Nuno doesn't seem particularly progressive, does he, so far, from what we've seen? Yeah.
I know Everton are playing right now, but I don't know the score.
1-3-1. Yeah, 1-3-1 against it, including an Andros Townsend. Yeah, an absolute worldie from Andros Townsend. You know, like where he runs a few yards and then sticks in the top corner from like 25 yards. Is one of them. Yeah, I mean, it just smells to me the first sort of mutterings of discontent are there. I mean, Twitter's never a good barometer for anything, because, it's full of crazy people like me who are extreme opinions at opposite ends of the scale. There doesn't seem to be much grey on Twitter. It's very much black or white. Is Nuno going to really come under some pressure soon if we don't get a couple of results in the next sort of 2-3 games? Because we could foreseeably be going into that Arsenal game on equal points, with Arsenal if we're not careful. I know, but it's
not on equal points. If they beat us, they'll be on equal points, because there's only one game between. But look, I think it's all about performance, right? If we play defensively and it looks like we're not trying, people will be on his back very quickly. In a way that Mourinho avoided because the fans weren't there. Yeah. But yeah, like we've got, weirdly enough, our strength is in attacking areas. Although we only have Kane, you can surround Kane with a whole bunch of players that can do stuff. It's in defensive areas where we struggle, and I think that he's like Mourinho did last year. He's trying to mask that by being a bit too defensive in midfield, and maybe we're at the stage right now that Spurs fans would, if we lose 3-2 having a go, that's better than losing, 1-0 or 2-1 trying to keep it tight. I hope that I do think that Spurs fans feel like that. So it's more about what Nuno does with the players he has as opposed to the results. As much as we want the results to be good, I think it's what he does is what he's going to be judged on.
Super chat in. Thanks very much for your support. Lloris or Galini against Chelsea? It's got to be Lloris, hasn't it? Surely,
it's got to be. Yeah, got to be Hugo for me.
I know he made a mistake, and he basically injured Eric Dyer. Let's not beat around the bush. Lloris
might not be a mistake.
He injured our best defender on the pitch at the time. Well, at the moment, he was nominated for Player of the Month, and Lloris has just taken him out in one swipe, literally. But one mistake doesn't mean you get dropped. I think if it was continuous mistakes in games, then give Galini a go. But one mistake in a game where nobody was good, I think it's got to be Lloris. Lloris, people. I think he's not respected enough by our fan base at all. Lloris, I don't get why, because he's saved us so many times, and people are very, very quick to forget that.
His career.
Huh?
And given us his career, he's
exactly. I mean, he's given us more commitment than Kane has.
Very true.
So, yeah, we need to see Lloris, I think. definitely. Galini will play Thursday.
Yeah.
There was that time where it felt like Lloris would make mistakes in the big games, right? And then obviously there was that 3 or 4 month period when he was out having broken his arm, and people thought Gazzaniga did all right. Although during that spell, Gazzaniga got sent off for kicking Marcus Alonso against Chelsea. So Hugo is clearly the best keeper we have, and he's clearly the best keeper we've had for a very long time. And yeah, he starts every big game, because as much as we remember the mistakes probably more than everything else, there's a lot more of the everything else.
I tell you what, I'd agree with that, Paul. I mean, I was Potter in all the way ahead of Nuno for me. Brighton are going to do well in the league this year. They've got exactly the same record as us now, and they play attractive football doing it. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
The goal difference is better than ours.
Yeah, well, they play progressive football.
Yeah, it's Seb. Seb was the one who was anti-Potter. What was he done? What was he done in football? Brighton, Spurs taking a Brighton manager? No, like I don't know. The people that say that, sorry, Seb, are the people who think we should go to Palace and steamroller them, no matter how good they are. It doesn't work. I think Potter, we may have missed a trick with him, but I don't think Potter was ever interested in Spurs, and I don't think he ever will be, if I'm honest. I think he'll do a job with Brighton, and then he'll look for a better job than Spurs. We may well be top 6 when it comes to revenue and all the rest of it, but I think if the Arsenal one was available, he might take that more. I don't know why. I think that with Levy around, it might put a few managers off. I do.
I don't think he was ever in the running for that job, the Spurs job.
No.
At the time, no, I don't believe that.
So I mean, it's weird. Like, I mean, let's say you're Brighton, right? You're Graham Potter. You know that Pep is leaving Man City in 2 years, right? You know that. I mean, he said it himself. You can do something with Brighton. You can wait. He's still in his mid-40s. He's not old. Now, it would be weird for Man City to pick someone like Graham Potter. Don't get me wrong, but why wouldn't they? Right? Like, they could easily do that. Liverpool, Klopp might get bored within a couple of years. I just think Brendan Rodgers is going to want to leave Leicester at some point. I believe that too. So I just think that for any manager, sadly, right now, Spurs, we're not an attractive choice. Just like Arsenal weren't, and they had to rely on, Cone Boy, who happened to play for Arsenal. Spurs may well be in a similar situation, and that sucks because we don't want to be. But I don't know. I don't think these up and coming managers see Spurs as the next step. If I'm honest,
I think the only hope we've got is Nuno sticking around until his Pochettino's contract ends at PSG and him wanting to come back.
Am I the only one, Shan, that doesn't want to see Poch come back? Probably
not. But you're in a minority, I think.
Yeah,
why is that? Why is that, Caller? Why is it? What is it about Poch you don't want to come back?
He took the team as far as he could. I also think, and this is something that, oh God, I hate agreeing with HG, but at the time he lucked into a lot of what he had. Kane was brought through by Sherwood, not really Poch. He just was lucky that was the timing that he was coming to emergence. He had Dembele, a peak Dembele. He had. I think they'd already signed a Reece. We'd got the components of the squad. Carl Walker was there. Danny Rose was there. He was a really good coach, but he locked into a really good squad. And I'm not that confident that we're going to spend the money or lock into that kind of squad again in the next 10, 20 years. I think
we still had Paulinho at Spurs when Pochettino came.
Yeah, he did have a few bad ones as well.
He had a few stinkers, and he did. And to be fair, he did do well in rebuilding at that time. I think he deserved. He said that we needed a rebuild. We didn't sign a player for 18 months. I think he deserved to be given money to spend.
I'd rather see Potter. There you go. There's my controversial statement for the day. I would rather see Potter at Spurs, and I said this in the summer, than Pochettino. I think we'll agree with that.
I think the timing of Pochettino might have been wrong, but eventually I would like to see him come back. After he's got experience and he's won trophies in France. I know PSG is a gimme, basically, to win the league, but with Messi coming in. But yeah, I think the timing was wrong for this last summer recruitment. But I do see Poch coming back in a year or two. Without doubt.
I mean, he also signed 3 players who have turned out to be completely useless for the side. I mean, you could argue that the fact he left maybe something to do with that. I don't know, but
He was sacked. He didn't leave. He was sacked.
Yeah.
And
you can't deny the football.
He'd come back in the next 2 years as if he's failed with a team consisting of Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. So
no, it's absolutely true. Like, he is set up to win everything this season with PSG. Like, you look around Europe, the Bayern team don't look as good. Man City possibly, but PSG, like, they've got a great squad and great players, and so you'd have to think they're favourites. Yeah, if Pochettino leaves PSG after 2 years, he's not coming to Spurs. He's just not, unless he fails. It's not going to happen.
Do you think Pochettino could have worked with someone like Paratici or not? Do you think that would have worked?
Yes. I think Pochettino, he's a coach, right? He wants to be on the training pitch working with players. Paratici is the guy who wants to sign the players. And if you look at what we've done, Paratici signings this season, it's too early to say really, but I think a lot of them will turn out to be half decent. So you'd think over time, maybe. But I just think Pochettino will have eyes on different things. Spurs, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm negative after living through the 90s and all the rest of it, but I don't think Spurs are where we think they are. I think as far as managers and players are concerned, we are, still the third biggest team in London, the team that they've heard of the least.
I'm not sure if that's completely true. I'd say second, but
Yeah,
in terms of honours, yeah.
I think what we've always got is that Poch loves Spurs, and I think he might want to help. He might feel sorry for us and want to help us out. So that's all we can cling on to.
Yeah, there's no denying the football that he got us playing, and we challenged. And
what about that?
If that happens, he's dead to me.
I think United before City.
Wow.
If it ever come around, I think it'd be United that he'd go to. Me personally, I think that's the way he'd go out of the two.
I think yeah, absolutely. If he does stuff with PSG, he'll be in the frame, won't he?
He will have plenty of options outside of Spurs, and not just for the next job, even for the one after that job. Pochettino will, could easily be close to 60 by the time that happens. It's and he's like 50 now, almost 50. I just think that Pochettino, as much as we love what he did and we love those experiences, we have to move on from him because I just don't see it. I don't see him coming back.
No, I don't, and that's why I think we should be looking at it. My disappointment with Nuno was my disappointment at the time. I don't think he's a that progressive manager. Having said that, I've loved the way he's carried himself.
Yeah, I do.
We've got 3 wins out of 4.
We've made our best start for years, haven't we?
And his squad was decimated by.
At the same time, we have the same amount of big chances created as Watford and Arsenal. So we can't eventually our luck's going to run out, right? And we're going to.
Shan, that's true to a degree, but that is the style of football that he always played at Wolves.
But we don't. We want to see. Was it Valencia he was at?
Yeah.
We want to see Valencia Nuno, not Wolves Nuno.
Yeah.
He must have shown Paratici and Levy something that got him the job. Levy come out. I know not everything Levy says should be taken as gospel because he's a lying little prick. But he said that the next coach needed to be within the Spurs DNA, and that he wanted to see us playing attacking football again. That's why we were linked with, what was it, Gattuso and the other one, I've forgotten his name. That was basically a dead cert. Fonseca, that's it. They play attacking football, and then Nuno's come along, and you're like, hey, he must have shown them something.
I think he's defensive.
I think HG stuck, which is a beautiful thing. So I remember I got stuck a week ago, and I watched it back, and he's ripping the piss out of me. So I'm quite happy about that, really.
I think in Nuno's defence, though, he's not had a settled team to pick from yet, has he? Every game there's something wrong or someone missing, or he's not had the best players to pick from every single game. He hasn't got a settled back four now. He did do. Harry Kane came back in late. Sonny started brilliant. Now he's injured. Lo Celso and Romero, they were around, and now they're not. I don't think we can really judge Nuno too much yet. I think,
but the Palace game, he could have picked a better 11, and he didn't.
Yeah, our man's up for. I can't defend the team selection and the non-changes at half time against Palace. But I think 3 wins out of 4, our best start for years in terms of points. Yes, it's not pretty, but we've beaten a good Man City side. We've beaten a good Wolves side away from home, a tough Wolves side away from home, and we've got the job done against Watford. For me, 3 wins and 3 clean sheets. I can't see us. We can't really go mad at him already. You know, I think we need to just give him a bit more time, let him get a settled squad, get everyone back, and then start judging him on his football and the results when we're more settled. You know.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying to sack him now.
Yeah, no, I
don't think anyone was saying that apart from Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, let's just give him a chance.
At the same time, I can see it. If we carry on how we've been, eventually, if you look at the stats, eventually the luck is going to run out, and then he's going to have fans in the stadium on his back, which Jose didn't have last season.
No, but I think once everyone's back, I think once all our players are back, we won't see what we see against Palace. We won't see that negative, non-progressive football. I think we will start to play better football naturally when we get the best players back in the starting 11.
Paul makes a very good point. Like, can anyone remember what Pochettino's record was after 4 games?
Terrible.
Right? I mean, like that first year, like I'll be honest, like halfway through that first year, I wanted Poch gone because I didn't see any progression. I didn't see what he was trying to do. I really didn't. And then the next year, we had Bentaleb and Mason starting a lot of games. And it was like, okay, well, where are we going? But he turned it around. So I just think that 4 games is far too early. Like we've bought a bunch of players in the summer. We are hoping to create something new. We've got young players, right? So they're going to grow together. So to miss Pochettino so much that because that's what it is. It's only coming from the fact that we used to be progressive and now we're not.
Good.
Yeah, and that's it. And so 1 game, as bad as we were with the conditions that we were under, it's almost. I think it is a little disrespectful to Nuno that we're talking about it.
I'm not Nuno out. I'm just saying. I'm just. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to point out the fact that we're on par with Arsenal and Watford for big chances created. We're not creating many chances at all, and that concerns me. It really does, because eventually you're going to start playing. You're going to start playing your Chelseas and your Manchester Uniteds, and you're going to start conceding goals. And if you're not scoring them up the other end, you're not going to win football matches. That's the only thing that concerns me. And I hope that once we are settled, we've got another international break in, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same thing over and over again.
How many players are going to be out this time?
Exactly.
They won't go. Like there's no way.
No way they're going this time. No chance.
No.
Because
the thing is, like, let's say, like, if it was someone like if Romero did decide to go, I mean, weirdly enough, if they want out of the club, go, because you'll probably get your wish. The Celso and whoever, like, if they don't want to be at Spurs, then they'll go. But I hope that they're smart enough to realise that, having lost so badly to Palace, that they can't risk it. They can't make those choices. Like, Argentina are going to qualify for the World Cup, almost certainly, just on the players that are not based in the UK. If Messi flies over all the time, they will make the World Cup. And I hope that the manager isn't stupid enough to be like, well, if you don't come, I won't pick you. Because I think that there is that part too.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I completely agree with you. And we are only, conflabbing. I don't think anyone seriously here is Nuno out right now. I give him a good 6 months at least before we start.
I think if we're still talking about this sort of incident at Christmas in January, or even after the January window, see if we bring anyone else in January, which is probably highly unlikely.
I think we'll bring a striker in. I think we will.
Yeah, I do as well. I agree.
I just think they run out of time.
In the summer.
I think they run out of time.
We will bring a striker in if we sell Kane in January, that's for sure.
Oh, don't start on that bollocks, HG.
That is bollocks, I know you committed for the summer. That's what it was. Is that what's driving that, HG?
We need to see something that makes us think we're going to start scoring goals, because let's be honest, the goal against Watford was fluky. Yeah. And at Wolves, you relied on a pen.
Hang on a minute. The Watford game, right? In fairness, we were in control of that match for 80 of the 90 minutes. It was never in doubt for me that we were going to win that game. I just think the football we're playing is quite defensively minded. I don't think everyone wants to see, and you're right, this is why everyone harks back to Pochettino. Everyone wants to see progressive football, dominating an opponent, chasing the ball down for 90 minutes, peak Spurs. And I just don't think that is our style now. I do think there'll be a lot less chances created. We've certainly got to do more, but I think Nuno would be happy with 50% of what we're got under peak Poch rather than, you know. So I do think we have to change the mindset a little bit, because I think we wish for those halcyon days to come back, but I think it's wishful thinking unless we spend an absolute fortune on players, and we all know we're not going to do that. I wish we would. I totally wish we would. But right here, right now, it's not going to happen.
I don't think the City and the Wolves game was as bad as what it sounds, 1-0. We could have had more and should have had more goals in both of them games, I think.
If we were more clinical, we'd have
had more chances or better chances than Wolves did in that game.
This is another thing that concerns me. Like, we've just not looked at it. We haven't looked at it. We've been missing quite a lot of chances, and normally Spurs we're known for being clinical. If we're getting a chance in front of goal, normally you'd think, it's probably going to go in, because last season we weren't creating a lot of chances, but we were scoring a lot of goals. And this season when we're getting those still few chances, we're not putting them away. So that is just something that is in the back of my mind concerning me a little bit. We don't look like we're gonna, like, when we're in front of goal, I'm not as confident as I would have been last season. But it's still early days, and hopefully it starts to click a little bit more, and we're seeing us score some more goals, because you can only win 1-0. Like, 1-0 is only going to carry on and like for a little while until you've got other teams that are getting into their rhythm as well.
No,
if we played City now, we'd get destroyed. Basically,
we did play them 3 games ago.
Yeah, but now they've beaten 2 teams. Like, what they beat? I know it's Norwich, but they beat them 5-0.
Yeah,
and then Arsenal.
Arsenal.
They've beaten some relegation fodder and lost
5-0.
I just think with all the stuff that's gone on at the moment, I think 3 wins from 4. I don't think we can really argue with that too much.
No, agreed.
We've got to draw a line under the first month.
There has been an element of luck to that, though, Michael, I think.
Yeah, but 3 wins out of 4, I'll take that in a minute. With all the stuff that's going on, we've got time to get this team right. Nuno's got time to get the team right, to start playing the football we want to play. But to get 3 wins from 4, with all the stuff that's gone on at Spurs in the last 4 to 5 weeks, I'm a happy man with that. Palace was a disaster, not defending that. But I think the first 3 wins and 3 clean sheets, I'll take that with what's going on at the moment.
I think you've got to look at the transfer window and what we did as well. They cleaned out an awful lot of deadwood.
Yeah.
You know, the likes of Sissoko.
But now we're incredibly light up. We're incredibly light up top. We definitely needed at least another right wing or attacking midfielder, so you could play Mora on the right or in the middle, regardless of who. We needed Traore.
No, we didn't.
We
could have done with him. We could have done with him against Palace.
If he was the only player we were linked with signing that was an attacking player, we needed to sign him. HG we are lacking in that area so much.
It's like we never thought about Son getting injured. We're so fixed on Kane's backup striker. We never actually thought about Son missing a few games as well.
As we appreciate your support. Is our defence stronger? All credit to Skip and Højbjerg. We've played double pivot in every game. Well, triple pivot away to Palace. So I've never seen a triple pivot before, but there you go.
None of them pivoted though. None of them
they can only face one way. Is our defence stronger, or is it credit to the 2 DMs? Shan?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I do think Dyer and Sanchez have played better, but I think an element of that is we're normally defending further up the pitch. Obviously, you've got that shield of Højbjerg and Skip in front of them, so they're not having to defend quite as much as they did under Mourinho, which has helped them. They're able to concentrate more because they're not constantly under pressure. But yeah, I do think our defence has massively improved. I think we were defensively very good against Palace until Tanganga got sent off. I do think we were defensively very good. It's just that we offered absolutely nothing at the other end. That's why I think if Tanganga would have stayed on, we would have probably come away with that with a 0-0. But yeah, I do think they've been better, and I do think having Skip and Højbjerg in front of them does help. Definitely, we're defensively more solid. Yeah, we're just defensively more solid. I don't worry as much whenever I see Sanchez and Dyer with the ball as I used to. They just seem a lot more composed. And like you say, it's because they're not getting bashed for every mistake they make. They're like that mistake Dyer did again. Obviously, he weren't punished for it, so I suppose it's a little bit different. The mistake where he ran into the midfield and lost the ball on the halfway line, and then Traore was 1-on-1 with Lloris. he weren't punished for that by being like taken out of the 11 in the next game. Whereas under Jose, that would have probably happened. So I think
anyone else not called Traore, they might have scored it.
Well, exactly. But like we say, they need an element of confidence, and they look like they're playing with confidence, and that's all we can ask for. And they have been much improved this season, definitely.
Same for you, Michael.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think they've had Skip and Højbjerg have definitely had an impact on the back four, but I think the credit goes to the two centre backs as well, and Reguilon as well. I think I was a bit suspect of Reguilon last season defensively, but he's definitely proven me wrong in the first 3 or 4 games. Had a good hour, 65 minutes against Palace. Great clearance off the goal line with the header, and then a great block before that at the near post. For me, he's definitely improving as a defender. But I just think we've got a bit more discipline with Nuno at the back. I don't know if he's had a word with them and showed them clips of what they used to do and the mistakes they used to make to try and get it out of their game. But for me, definitely more disciplined and definitely more protected with Skip and Højbjerg. Definitely.
But that doesn't mean we can add a third.
No, we don't want to see 3 of them protected.
Never see that ever again. That was disturbing, very much so.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else think we missed our chance to move on and dominate the league when we finished second and went on a self-imposed transfer ban? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, dominate the league, no. But
yeah,
we certainly we like. I mean, it's one of those weird things because a lot of the signings that Pochettino did make haven't been good. So we could have signed some real duds. It's the fact that we don't know, right? We don't know who would have bought. We don't know who would have got. And we did need to strengthen the great team that we had. So it's definitely a chance missed. Yeah,
I definitely think like when you're challenging for the league 2 seasons in a row, not to add to that, or at least try to add to that, is suicidal. Honestly, that's the reason we are where we are now. 100%.
And we could have attracted some better players back then as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
With what we're doing, the caliber of player coming in would have been a lot better.
What are you talking about? We sold Walker and we bought Aurier and Sanchez with it. I mean, like, isn't that improving the squad?
Yeah, but Sanchez was really good for Ajax, and to be fair to him, in his first season at Spurs, he was really good. There's a player in there somewhere.
He's a confidence player.
We're seeing it at the minute. He's doing really well.
Someone destroyed his confidence. Wonder who that could be. Reggie leads the league in interceptions. Yeah, I saw this week. That's a good point, isn't it? I think he's been had an understated start to the season, hasn't he? He
really has.
Yeah.
I think he's been a bit of an unsung hero. I think he's been really good in every game we've played, and no one's really talked about him. Yeah, I think he was probably other than Tanganga, he was probably the second best player on the pitch against Palace.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had my doubts last year defensively. I thought he looked good going forward. We haven't seen a lot of that this season going forward. But for me, he's definitely improved defensively so far in the first.
I don't know. He's been trying to go forward, but the midfield won't pass to him.
Yeah, it's true. Well, he's waving.
I feel like a defender leading the league in interceptions is one of those kind of backhanded compliments because I don't want my players to be leading the league in interceptions. I want us to have the ball. So we don't have to worry about it. It's like, the keeper who makes the most saves just means your defense is allowing a lot of shots. So, yeah, like it looks great and he has had a good start to the season, but stats like that, they make me wonder.
Yeah. I like this one. Regarding Skip, I would have thought he'd been covered or back up to Højbjerg, both being played, in danger of being both burned out. But moreover, they have a very negative balance on the team. I just think our midfield is so defensively minded at the moment. It just lacks a bit of balance. You need a creator in there, a person who can beat a man, don't you, Mike?
Yeah, I think you need to pick and choose when you play those two together. I think there's certain games that you need it, and I think there's certain games where you don't need it. And until we're settled with better players coming back, then we can start looking at maybe breaking them two up in certain games, and then obviously bringing them in when we need them. So at the moment, we've been doing it.
I thought Watford was the perfect game for that.
Yeah.
To not play both of them, and we still played both of them. So,
and at home,
yeah,
Watford, a newly promoted team,
Do you think players like Ndombele and Brian Hill and stuff like that? Do you think he has a lack of trust in them defensively to gamble on them, and maybe why he didn't play them or bring them on against Crystal Palace as well? it must be something defensively. I don't think he trusts about their game or their positioning or knowing their roles on the pitch. I think there's something holding him back with Bryan Hill against Palace. And now Ndombele is coming to the fore. I think there's something going to be holding him back as well in terms of starting. And that's maybe why we've seen Højbjerg and Skip a lot more. And then obviously Harry Winks against Palace as well.
I mean,
what do you guys think?
I just feel like with playing a 4-3-3, like none of us expected Dele to be this, box-to-box central midfielder that we've seen, right? So Højbjerg and Skip, like if Lo Celso was kind of half injured at the start of the season, and Ndombele openly said he wanted to leave when Nuno said to him. So Nuno was never going to pick him while the window was open. We knew that. Now that the options are set, I think that we do have to become a bit more progressive. We have to get again, like I said, all of last season, the balance has to be right. If Højbjerg can't be the defensive one and is better, giving a bit more license to go forward, then what do? Right? Do you have to play with 3 centre backs? I think we've all said that our squad is set up to play with 3 centre backs. It is a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, however you want to do it. Our squad is best set up for that. So to play a 4-3-3, it will always feel a bit weird. Even though we got the great results we got in those first 3 league games, I don't think it suits the players that we have. I think that Spurs would be better off with, even if you have 3 centre-backs, you can have Højbjerg and Ndombele as the 2 in midfield, and I don't think it would matter. I think they could both do enough in both directions. As you said, Michael, the opponents are key. When you've got Chelsea at home, you want 2 defensive midfielders. You want a double pivot because we know how good Chelsea are at keeping the ball. Chelsea's entire game plan is based on control. They want the ball. They want to dominate in midfield, and then they've got the players that can do damage at the other end with Havertz and Lukaku and whoever. So I just, the next 2 games are going to be tough ones. Even if Arsenal are as bad as they've been, they're going to be up for that game. Yeah, and we will have to, I think Lo Celso may well start that one, but it's just, we're still missing a balance into the team. Right, not just in midfield, but to the entire team. What works the best for Spurs? Jose could never find it out, and Nuno. Okay, granted, it's only been 4 games, but he's still searching too.
Agreed. Well, look, we've debated this for a long time now, so I'm going to draw an end to the debate there. Hour and 41 minutes is enough of our droning on voices, I'm quite sure. Shan, thanks for joining me. As ever, just recap. There's 130 people watching. Tell them what you're doing this week.
Yep. So Wednesday, 9:00 will be the first ever episode of the Shan Show. We're going to be discussing Spurs' greatest moments because we're all still very depressed from the weekend and we need a pick-me-up. So make sure you're there. It will be good. Be some interactive stuff, some quizzes. I believe Mike's going to be there as well. So he'll be joining me. And then hopefully some others as well. So it'll be a good show. So I hope to see lots of you there. And
then you do a watch along for Thursday night?
Yeah, I really hope that's better than it went on Saturday. I really, really do. This is why we need to play a decent team because I can't handle it again. And then the watch along on Sunday as well. If they're all that bad, if it happens, caller, next week, I'm like, no more watch alongs. It's a curse. It's a curse. So hopefully we start to see some good football and it's actually entertaining to watch along with. So loads going on in the Cheese Room this week. Absolutely loads.
And the schedule's on Twitter, isn't it? So there you go. HG, thanks for joining us as ever from Vienna.
No problem. Always good to be on.
And Michael, thanks for coming back and giving us your fantastic services again this evening. So, for everyone watching, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. Thanks for watching the Cheese Room. We want to thank you for your patronage, all your super chats. Patreon details, speaking of which, are at the bottom ticker. Join, £3 a month. It's a great gig. And in the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Let's win on Thursday.
Come on, you Spurs.